Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, actually, we have started writing assignments. The second assignments, we are asked to calculate average cost per unit and then average variable cost per unit and total fixed cost and average fixed cost per unit under normal working conditions. So these calculations we want to know so that we can write our assignments easily. If you can explain these calculations, these numericals.
Definitely sure, not a problem from my end. But the instructions are like this. Assignment direct questions, solutions, we are not supposed to provide.
Correct,
It is like an examination for you.
Okay.
You have to prepare. So today's class, I think short run, it is all related to short run and long run cost analysis. The class already yesterday I started teaching this, right? So today's you will be learning as to how to calculate. You just go through this, and there is an example already which I showed in my previous class as well. Someone from the same group happened to ask me the same doubt some time back, and I showed her the same. Anyways, we will do it again today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? All right. If any doubts or any points which are not clear, you can still share. See, as questions like if you are not able to make out what is it exactly, so I can help you in that, but not exactly the paper. Okay, so that way if you have any doubts, you can come up and we can discuss here.
No, ma'am. If you can work out on an example. So not actually exactly the questions we are asking, asked in the assignments. We want you to explain some sort of calculations with an example, whatever examples you have.
Yeah, sure. In yesterday's class, we've been learning about various cost terms: average cost, total cost, fixed cost, variable cost, right? And now we move on to the next unit, that is short term.
Yes, ma'am.
Followed by long-term cost analysis. Okay. Now, short term, what is a short-term cost analysis? See, all those costs which are involved in the production activity to, convert a raw material to a semi-finished and then finally finished and then make it available in the market. All the cost which is incurred is put together or, is divided into various, is understood, is divided, and it is categorized into various ways. And those which all these categorization we've been learning in yesterday's class. Cost analysis and the various terms like, see, opportunity cost, actual cost, business cost, out of pocket, short run, sunk, historical, fixed cost, and variable cost. Now, in this today's class, you will be learning about short-term cost analysis and long-term cost analysis. What is basically short-term cost analysis and long-term? See, short-term cost analysis is all about the term which is involved in production activity, which is short here. In case of long, it is long. Now, how it all depends on the nature of the business which is carried on and their plannings. If it is for short term, the cost which is involved is divided into two categories. One is fixed and the others are variable. Now, one variable which is fixed, that means either, yesterday also I explained this, either you go for producing 500 units or 1000 units. It, the cost which is incurred to produce that particular product, uh, one variable is fixed. That is whether you go for 500, 1000 or 2000, the fixed cost will remain constant. It won't change with a change in the number of quantity of production. It remains same. Whether you produce under or above, it remains same. Variable cost is something which is associated with number of units. That is quantity which has been produced. If you're producing 500 units, per unit variable cost is calculated. So it will change. So suppose in 500 units, if you are manufacturing, the company or the firm will be calculating 500 units, that is quantity, into, suppose variable cost is 2. So 500 into 2. In case if the variable cost is 2, rupees 2 per unit. Okay, so in that case, suppose if the quantity is 1000, so the variable cost will be 1000 into 2. If this is increasing to, quantity is increasing from 1000 to 2000, okay, then your variable cost will be increased. Okay, if it is decreasing, it will reduce. This is about variable cost. In the same line, if you look at the fixed cost, try to understand the fixed cost, whether the quantity is 500, 1000 or 2000. Okay, 1500 or 2000, the fixed cost which is fixed, which is made constant, under which you can see land building, technology investments. Okay, these are certain category of items which are considered, which are fixed in the short term. So whether you produce 500 units, 1000 units, or say 2000 units, your fixed cost in all these three cases remains same. Suppose 5,000 rupees, 5,000 is your fixed cost. So this will remain same. So here you can see, if it is 5,000 rupees and you're only, the firm is targeting to manufacture only 500 units, then you can see it is, the fixed cost is higher. And when you divide this into number of units, this will increase proportionately. That's 5,000 divided by 500, 50 rupees per unit. In the next case, when the when the quantity is 1,000 units, then you see the proportionate fixed cost will come down. So on and so forth. If you calculate for 2,000, further it will come down. So increase in the quantity will decrease the proportionate fixed value on the number of unit, on a number of units. This is, all about fixed cost. And variable cost is something which is calculated per unit. So hence, it makes not much impact on the cost of the. So anything, if in short run, the firm, the manager is planning to reduce the cost, he has to ensure that he also focuses on fixed cost. Though it is fixed, you cannot change, but certain measures can be taken up so that the cost involved in the short run can be reduced. Okay. Now the same thing, this is applicable in short run. Now if you look at long run, okay, long run. Now long run is probably a duration which is more than 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Depends. Now the longer the period, the longer the manager has time to even change the fixed cost, so-called fixed cost variables into variable cost. Suppose in a matter of technology, land, okay, or say land or building plant and equipment. Okay, these three are considered to be fixed costs. Suppose in the long run, short run, you cannot invest in spending or, exchanging in these kind of assets. Whereas in the long term, you can easily change because you have enough time to shift from one technology to another technology. You have enough time to expand your business by purchasing a new lands, additional, lands. You can exchange plant and machinery, which you are working with now. You can, bring in new plant and equipments to your manufacturing unit. So that way, in the long run, there is no term called as fixed variable, because all the variables stands to be, all the input stands to be variable. Because in the long term, time is sufficiently enough to change, exchange, modify, add new things, etc. in the long run. Same thing is not applicable in the short run. All right. This is about short run and long run. Now let us look at what type of analysis is required in short run. Here. This is very important. All those who are seeking, looking for this kind of, assignment problems, take a book pen and start writing. See, TFC here is denoted, total fixed cost is denoted as TFC. And this total fixed cost, this is about short run, right? The heading is short run. Under short run, these are the various cost analysis that we would be taking up in today's class. Q is quantity. Total fixed cost is denoted as TFC. Total variable cost is TVC. Okay, and total cost is TC. Total cost here includes both the variables, inputs like capital and labor. Capital and labor. Next we have total fixed cost is TFC. Average fixed cost is denoted as AFC. In the same line, total variable cost TVC. We have average variable cost ABC. Next, total cost, that is TC. We have average cost AC. Marginal cost is MC. Marginal cost, I repeat again, earlier classes also we have learned, it is a small change in the total cost which is happening due to the change in the output. Now, the important, relationship that you have to understand is these formulas. These formulas. TC, that is total cost. How do you get? Simply, fixed cost and variable cost should be added. So total fixed cost and total variable cost should be added. Next is AC. What is AC? Average cost. How do you get average of the cost? See here, you have two things to do. One is TC divided by quantity. That is total cost. In case if you have total cost and quantity, go with this. If you do not have, then you should be given information in the question about AFC, that is average fixed cost. And if you have average variable cost, add these two, you will get average cost. Same like total cost. All right. Next is MC. What is MC? Small change in the total cost divided by change in the quantity. Whatever change is happening to the total cost, that becomes your MC, that is marginal cost. Next is AFC. What is average fixed cost? Now, Total fixed cost, whatever is available, should be divided by quantity. The same line, average variable cost is equals to total variable cost divided by quantity. Now let's see the calculation here. In this example, yeah, quantity is given and total fixed cost is assumed at rupees 100. Here in this example, production process combines variable amount of labor with a fixed capital stock, say 10 machines. That is 10 machines. In this process, the rate of output is changed by varying the rate of labor input. Assume that the firm can vary the labor input freely at a cost of rupees 100 per unit. That is total fixed cost. Therefore, the expenditure on labor is variable cost. Okay. If the machines are rented out on long term, it is rupees 100. The fixed cost would be rupees 100 per period. So 1000 per period. So 1000 divided by 10 is 100. So 100 is your fixed cost here. All right. Okay. So all of you, right. So I hope you understood here total fixed cost and variable cost here. When you add total fixed and variable cost, you will get this total cost. And if the same formulas you are supposed to use above whatever given, see AFC, AFC, that is average fixed cost is equals to total fixed cost divided by the quantity. Sorry. Okay, then average variable cost is this divided by quantity. Next is average cost. AC. Either you add AFC and AVC, this two, or whatever total cost you have divided by the number of quantity, first column. Then marginal cost, whatever change is happening, that is 100. From 100, it is rising up to 155.70. So 155.70 minus 100 is this. This two. And then minus 205 minus 155. 304 minus 250. Like that, you should go on, find out the change in the total cost, all this total cost till the last. So here is your marginal cost. Okay. Understood. So this is how you can construct a table of all the short-run cost analysis. Now, the same thing when you start plotting on the graph, the same numbers. Okay, you see here on the short-run total cost. X-axis shows the output or Q, quantity. And on Y-axis, it is cost. Now, in the short run, as we've discussed, total fixed cost is constant, no change. And so you can see it is a line which is parallel to the x-axis, TFC curve. Whereas a TVC curve is, fluctuates. It is all depending on the quantity which is being manufactured. So the quantity, as the quantity is changing, the cost will also change. As the quantity is increasing, the cost also will increase. So it is slightly going upwards direction. The origin begins with from the point of intersection of x and y axis, and slowly it moves upward direction. With the increase in every single output, the cost, the variable cost also will increase. And then we have TC, total cost. Now, as we discussed before, it should be a combination of, TFC plus TVC. TC curve means basically TFC, that's fixed cost plus variable cost. So fixed cost, already first graph, it is a line which is parallel to x-axis. TVC, variable cost, you have already drawn. Now see, total cost will start beginning from TFC, from fixed cost onwards. And then it starts moving with every increase in the quantity. The total cost will keep increasing. Because either you produce or you don't produce, fixed cost remains same. So the origin will be from the total fixed cost intersection point on the y-axis. Now, if you look at average cost is nothing but average fixed cost, total fixed cost divided by quantity. So the curve is slightly sloping downwards towards the x-axis. That's average fixed cost. And then average variable cost. Then we have average cost. All these curves, you see fixed cost is, a curve which shows you the declining curve, whereas variable curve is slightly moving, increasing. It declines at a point, and then after which it starts increasing with every increase in the quantity. Average cost is decreasing when output increases, and then increases when the output is increasing. And the marginal cost, if you see, the same curve, the same graph, add MC. Only we are adding this MC point, MC curve, which, means if you see average cost is above the marginal cost. If the price in this reaches the minimum point, that is, the minimum point where AAC and AVC are intersecting. And at that point, it reaches the minimum point. And this point occurs when MC is intersecting. And that intersection point, at that point, we call it as to be a shutdown point, because it is harmful to go ahead. It is better to shut down because it is not making up even the fixed cost. So hence it is wise decision to shut down. When average revenue and average marginal, other ways, average marginal cost and MC, all three are equal, you calculate or you show it on graphical. When all these three appears to be equal, it is why it is better to shut down. Okay. So this is about short run. Now let's see about long term. The long term cost analysis, same. So as we discussed, in the long term, all are variable cost. Any input, capital, labor, technology, advertising, anything can be changed. Okay, there is no discussion on any sort of fixed asset, like either it can be a technology or a land, are all tend to change. Now, in this scenario, we try to understand in the long run returns to scale and cost. Returns to scale and cost. In this return to scale, you have, the proportions, whether it is increasing or decreasing, the relationship increase or decrease or constant in the production process. So how does this relationship is projected? Suppose if the returns to scale are increasing, inputs are increasing because the prices are constant here. We assume in the long run that the prices are constant. And similarly, if it is decreasing, returns to scale are decreasing, inputs are also decreasing proportionately. And if it is considered to be constant, that is the last graph, constant means returns to scale implies that total cost will change in proportion to the change in the output. Now, in case if you are changing the quantity, the total cost also will change. So returns to scale and cost, we have one increasing, first two graphs, rate of output and cost, and second two decreasing, and next constant. Constant means returns to scale, total cost will change in the same proportion as in the change in the quantity. Okay. So what is in a long-term cost function? See, this is the long-term average cost and short-run cost. Now you can see no, graph is constant, as in the case of short run. All are, either increasing, decreasing, and mostly you find them all in U-shape. U-shape, because they have been, in the long run, inputs have been divided into, to better understand the relationship, into short runs. Okay, there are several short run periods in the long run. Short term curve 1, short term curve 2, short term curve 3, like that. The whole long term period is divided, and because of this reason, all short term curves are U-shaped. And in this, return to scale increases with increase in the output. This is because increasing returns to scale in the long run average cost of production increases the output, and decreasing returns is vice versa. And beyond a certain point, it remains constant. So the long-term curve is U-shaped, and there are several long-term, short-term curves on this long-term curve. These all shapes are short run, which are compiled to make it in the long run. Okay. Next is average cost curve in the long run when there are constant returns. When the returns are constant, average cost curve. Cost curve always are U-shaped curves. Now you see in this, Average cost is on the y-axis and output Q is shown on the x-axis. And three curves are shown, short run. When returns are constant, long run average cost curve is horizontal. Now, in the earlier graphical representation, we have seen short run. In that case, there is no return which is constant. But here we are assuming as constant, the returns to be constant. In that case, the production function becomes linear and the prices of inputs remain constant. Returns to scale, we call it to be constant when the cost of unit price is constant in the long run. That means there is no change in the price of the product. Because of which the average cost curve which is shown is horizontal straight line. Horizontal straight line. Okay, next, saucer-shaped long run average cost. Now, in the long run, there is, a with a very large portion in the center, which arises because of economies of scale. And, relatively, if any expansion is planned, then diseconomies of scale will occur. Now, this happens for a very large increase in output, because of which a long horizontal flat section in the long run average cost curve can occur. And this usually happens because of, technological changes or any, changes which are happening, and that might offset the diseconomies of scale on the output. Important point here to be noted is saucer-shaped long-run average cost curve. It is relatively empirical and very large flat portion is, occurred. This is nothing but in the long run, a U-shape curve, a smooth, curve occurs because of the change in the economies of scale, and that can be attributed to, a change in technology, etc. All right. So that's about short run and long run cost analysis. Then we have profit concepts. What is profit? Anything which is added to the cost is profit, margin. It is also regarded as the revenue, right? So, however, some economists doesn't, on this, and they talk about explicit and implicit cost, which we learned in the previous classes. Implicit cost is something which you forgo, that is to be included, but here we don't include. When we learn the concept of profit, a manager considers all the cost concepts, adds a margin, and then price has been fixed for a given product to be sold in the market. Now, the theories of profit, which are given by some eminent, economists, as rent theory, waste theory, dynamic theory, innovation theory, uncertainty, marginal productivity. See, all these theories talk about their perception on profits. Now, if you talk about the Walker's, Professor A. Walker, who has given the rent theory of profit, he says rent is a reward for the use of the land. And when a superior land is used, the difference between the productivity and the marginal, super marginal land becomes a profit. And in the short term, all these marginal entrepreneurs will start earning the surplus over any marginal inputs. Now, in certain cases, the profits, we don't caption it to be profit, rather it goes into the cost of production. This particular concept of perception by Professor F.A. Walker has been criticized on several grounds again, being said to be negative and etc. etc. Well, likewise, we have wage theory, which is given by Towsing, and he said that the entrepreneur occurs on him and on his abilities. The profit is all about the ability of an entrepreneur, he said. And then risk theory, which is given by Hawley, and according to him, he says that the profit is nothing but a reward for the risk that is being taken up in the business. Whereas if you look at the dynamic theory of profit, the clerk, according to him, the dynamic theory is about the 5 different changes which he calls to be significant. Number 1, change in size population. Number 2, supply of capital. 3 being production techniques involved in the production. 4 being the forms of industrial organization. 5 being human bonds. So all this put together, he says, the typical dynamic change is an invention. And he says and argues that entrepreneurs to produce more and reduce cost. The moment you produce more, he says, and he perceives strongly that the cost will be reduced. When the cost is reduced, profits will increase. Again, there were many who could criticize on him and on his theory, which led to the emerging of a new theories into it. And so is innovation, uncertainty, marginal productivity. Okay, the profits are the marginal productivity of our entrepreneurs. So likewise, profits are is defined and understood in different, by different eminent professors as they perceive and have been criticized on several grounds. So finally, if you look at the functions which are being given by Ducker, the very famous Peter Ferdinand Ducker, he considered profit is a measure of performance. Profit should cover the cost and control the business. And it should attract the future capital. It is profit through which, you get attracted towards, investments can be attracted, capitals, associations can be attracted. So profit should be considered to be a measure and that it is on the lines of attracting other stakeholders. And in his very famous book of budget, he introduced cost, volume, profit analysis. He presented cost, volume, profit analysis, where the objectives of cost value, he gave the analysis is very famously and popularly called as abbreviated as CVP analysis, which is used by many managers in order to, find out the CVP analysis, and it is helping managers across to make their, managerial decisions. And this is where the break-even point is analyzed, and the break-even point. Now, let me tell you what is break-even point. It is a point where there is no profit and no loss. It is a point where there is no profit and no loss. So every company has to determine the break-even point. That is where from the company or the firm starts earning the profits. That is the point after which the firm starts earning the profits. Until then, they have to ensure they survive. So yeah, break-even point is one analysis which should be concentrated on. This is very important uh, graphical representation of break-even analysis. Now you can see this particular point is from where the profits begins. Anything below this is considered to be loss. Anything below this is considered to be loss. Now, if you look at the graph on this is y-axis, which is quantity, and this is x-axis where the total cost is shown, y-axis and x-axis, and see this is the point where break-even point is attained. Now, anything, now you see this is again the total fixed cost, as we have already learned, total fixed cost. Now, see, this is total cost. This is total sales. All right. Then we have total cost in the short run and long run. If you recall back, you've learned this. So this particular portion is variable cost. This is variable cost. Now you see anything which is earned below this at point is loss. And anything above this point is considered profit. This is break-even point. So every firm strives to attain break-even point as early as possible. As early as possible. So that they start earning profits. Now, with this analysis, managers help organizations and firms apply this, and they help them to understand by what time and with what profit, with what cost and variable cost and fixed cost, how and how long the time duration they can they by then they will be attaining break-even point. Based on this analysis depends lot many other managerial decisions as to profits, as to cost in the long run and in the short run as well. Okay. Yes. And then we have market structures. This is completely a theoretical, unit. Market structure. There are various market structure. Basically, market is being divided in order to better understand into various structures. And each one has got its own characteristics, types, etc. So let's move on. So, yeah, the characteristics or say features of market structure. Market structure is number of distributors and sellers. It is related to the size of the distributors and sellers in the market. Number one. Second is distribution of buyers. How the market is distributed among the buyers. Thirdly, it is product differentiation. So if any, the kind of nature of product that a firm is planning to introduce or innovate for a given market, they should first understand the nature, the market, whether it is, identify the market, whether it is suitable or not. And then we have conditions of entry and exit. Yeah, this is a regulatory. Yeah, when you classify your form into a particular market structure, then according to that particular market structure, you have certain regulations which are to be followed. So entry and exit will be based on the market structure. And then you have types of market structure: market based on space element, market based time element, and market based on entry and exit. Now, what is space? In space, you see local market, regional markets, and national markets, even world markets also. Local markets, regional, and world markets. And next is time element. Time element, as we just now discussed, short-term period and long-term. The meaning remains same here, even applicable, same terms are applicable here as well. Short-term period is a time period where certain things are fixed and certain are variable, whereas long-term, almost all the inputs are variable, considered to be variable. Anything can happen in the long run. So based on time, it is divided into two: short-term period and long-term period. And in this, next we have conditions of entry and exit. Now, in this particularly, you have various forms of market. That is perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic, oligopoly. Now, what is perfect? Where a large number of buyers and sellers of an products are available. Since there is no entry, there is free entry and exit in this perfect competition. And in this, the another important point to be noted here, there is no firm who is going to make enough exorbitant profit, because it is a place, a perfect competition is a space where there is no entry and exit restrictions. So many firms will enter and try to make the profits. That is where the profits in the market are being divided among all those players. Monopoly is a situation in the market where there is only one producer for a given product and he enjoys that monopoly. Okay. And the monopoly market is a market where there is no threat about the competitors. There is no competitor. There is no threat. So price, if you look at monopoly, they fix the price as they want and try to skim the best prices from the market. That is monopoly. Then monopolistic competition is a market structure where large firms, selling differentiated varieties of products. These monopolistic competition firms, the entry of new firms are, cannot be prevented. And that is where in the normal short run only. If you look at long term, because many entrants can come and start making the product and serving the market. Therefore, the profits cannot be expected. Differentiated products are being sold in the market with large number of firms. Next is oligopoly. This is a structure where there is a small number of firms who forms a whole industry. The number is small, but yet they form an industry. And the kind of products which are often, one finds here is new firms. Difficult. It is difficult for the firms to bring in new different products because this structure stiff competition from the other firms with respect to prices and the quantities. So if you talk about profits here, no, we cannot estimate the profits because there's a huge competition on not just only the quantity and quality of the product, but also on the prices of the product. So oligopolistic market structure is a structure where small number of firms constitute the whole industry, and it is featured as a market with different products which are offered. In oligopoly, you can even present about duopoly and economies of scale. Duopoly is about, those two firms which are which comprises of market structure of oligopoly, and where there is only one single market, and oligospony it is referred as. These sellers can present but meet only few buyers. Economies of scale are those where large comparisons to others in an industry is made. They happen to, wave off, give stiff competition to other firms, with the result that there are no competitors. Okay, two firms join hands to give stiff competition to others. This is like, an emergency of oligopoly, where it attains economies of scale with large extent that is able to meet in the entire market demand. All right, so market structure, perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, duopoly, monospony, where there is only one single buyer in the market. So that way, you will have to present all these meanings, characteristics of the competition. Of all these market structure, the important ones are perfect competition and monopoly competition. Again, for each one, you are given in the long run, short run, and in the long run, how the equilibrium, happens to change, and what should be the profit maximization conditions in the perfect competition. Pricing, how prices are fixed in the perfect competition. This is the formula used by economists, like managers, like price is equals to always marginal cost, which is equals to average cost. And it is shown with this graphical representation. Monopoly also, a condition where single seller, no close substitutes, happens to be the leader of the market. How do they design pricing decision is made? Yes, as much they want to squeeze the market, they try to by adopting the skimming strategy. Skimming strategy. So accordingly, the prices are fixed. So again, in short term and long term, the prices may differ. If short term, it is very high. In the long term, the prices may comparatively be low, but not as low as, in the case of perfect competition. Because they are the leaders and there are no other sellers in the market, they become the dominant firms. So these are the various monopoly condition. Then we have monopolistic and oligopoly. In oligopoly, there is a king. Yes. So for every market structure, you have how prices are determined, how the size is, how break-even points are attained. Again, for each structure, short run and long run, representation is done with graphics. So that's how, the market structures are understood by the managers, and accordingly, they try to make the managerial decisions with respect to what nature and what type of firm they are, they first understand and they try to apply the same concepts which are available in the theory. And you have pricing strategies. All these pricing strategies are general, but respectively, which are connected to each market structure, the same pricing strategy, the kind of cost, various terms which are learned since yesterday's class: cost analysis, short run, long run, fixed cost, variable cost. By taking into all these, things into how price is being fixed. The main objective of pricing or generating revenue is to maximize profit, increase sales, obtain good market share, satisfy customers, ensure to give the stiff competition to the competitors, maximize the stakeholders' wealth. All these are the various objectives of price, advantages and disadvantages. How, in case if cost plus pricing is done, conversion plus cost plus pricing is cost plus a small amount of margin is added to it. That is profit margin. All right. So all this theory is presented, and various factors which influence price. Yes, customers, competitors, and cost. Cost is something which we learn. All these fixed cost, variable cost incurred by in various inputs, land, labor, technology, and the other variable costs. Competitors are the other firms which are available in the market, and how they're able to give the best prices, how they are able to fix the prices. By learning their strategies, you can adopt and give stiff competition to them. Next is customer. Again, customers are the king of the market. Finally, it all depends on examining the customer's requirement and feasibility to pay for a given product, and at the same time, the competitors. Okay, so there should not be a loss to the firm as well as competition to the competitor, by ensuring that the customers be able to pay the best price for the product. Okay. The various, ways of pricing is premium pricing, economic pricing, good value, overcharging, skimming, penetration. Skimming, as I said, monopoly may, since there is no competitor, etc., you can take up this strategy. Penetration is when a new product is introduced, very new product for the very first time. Since you are entering that market for the very first time and the product is new, maybe people, customers or the market would not accept immediately. So the prices are lower in the initial stage, and later they're increased. Whereas skimming pricing, it is the vice versa. Initially, the prices are very high, skyrocketing in fact, but later they have been decreased. So that's about skimming pricing and penetration pricing. Next, we see overcharging, good value. See, these all strategies depends upon which structure you belong to: perfect, monopoly, monopolistic, oligopoly, etc. Once you understand that there is no competitor, you can start premium pricing. Okay, it all depends on the quality, the type of quality that you're serving. Okay, then you have overcharging also, good value also. So based on brand loyalty, brand that reputation that you have created in the market space, based on that as well, the pricing can be fixed, irrespective of what your competitors are charging. Okay, so forecasting is another tool which is used by the managers to forecast the price of the given product. How the forecasting is done is the various techniques they adopt, like complementary, understanding the competitors' prices, whether countries as in developing, developed, and underdeveloped nations. Okay, so again, besides these techniques, the very fundamental, or say very conventional way of analysis is seasonal. Okay, supply patterns, understanding the season, understanding the substitute prices of the goods, and then complementary goods which are available in the market, their prices, and the market structure. So all these enables the managers to forecast the price for their products. Okay. So that was all about the managerial economics. So basically, market structures concentrate on the meaning characteristics followed by each structure. Suppose in perfect market condition, in the short run, in the long run, how prices are fixed and forecasted, that you can cover. So with this, the managerial economics subject is almost, not almost, it is done. Any, yeah, I know. So if any doubts, if any queries, if you have, you can, or otherwise you can leave for lunch. Yes, Harsha. Yes, just now I showed you, the last topic, last page you'll refer. Okay. All right. So we'll end up the session. We are getting messages from the university and the class time up. So we'll end up the session. Wish you all the best for your examinations. Prepare well, write well, and score good marks. Wish you all the best. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anytime, anyways. Welcome all.
Good evening.